Hello everyone, Chads and Chaddies included, and welcome to part 1 of a new audiobook adventure, starring your favorite presidents. It is a new arc, told in a new way. I hope you'll find pleasure in it, and if you don't, fuck you. Enjoy. By the way, this is a work of fiction, and any similarity to any real person, living or dead, is completely fucking coincidental.
Harvey Weinstein gazed out of his prison cell window. He'd lost all hope of ever being released, what with being an absolutely horrific sex pest, but he still hadn't managed to come to terms with his new life as a prison cum dumpster. It was horrible. Bad food, a tiny cramped bed, and no games consoles at all. God, what he would give to finally be able to play Elden Ring. Kevin Spacey had sent him numerous letters detailing the absolute perfection of that game, calling it a chatted masterpiece. It sounded so good. "This can't be it," he said to himself as he sat on the edge of the tiny bed, trying desperately not to feel his innards after a full morning of unwanted shower buggery. He was a broken man. He cried for 2 hours, remembering the days he had unlimited access to all of Hollywood's hottest babes. "Please, God," he whispered, "please give me the strength to escape this hell, and to exact my revenge on the motherfuckers that put me, the great Harvey Weinstein, in here." Just then, the cell door opened, revealing the jailer, John Cena. "Weinstein!" shouted John Cena, who had also contributed heavily to the hell that was now Harvey's life. "Get your broken ass out of bed and make way. We're bringing in a bed for your new cellmate." "What? A cellmate in here? You can't be serious. There is barely enough room for me, and I am a powerful Hollywood executive. You can't pair me up with any old riffraff. If it wasn't for me, there would be no Lord of the Rings." "Shut your fat, disgusting mouth, cunt," replied Cena, slapping Harvey so hard it broke his jaw. "Even if you did provide the initial funding for the Lord of the Rings, that doesn't mean you're any less of a disgusting, predatory dweeb like a fucking Vaporeon-loving brony." Cena slapped Weinstein 10,000 more times, pounding him into the ground like Donkey Kong's Down B attack in Smash Brothers Melee. Lying in his own piss and shit on the heavily pounded concrete floor, Harvey Weinstein was vaguely aware of metal scraping on concrete. As the bed for his new cellmate was dragged unceremoniously inside, he looked up through swollen eyes at the door as his cellmate entered. "Get your baby oil-loving ass in there," said Cena, pushing the new arrival into the room with such force that Harvey could hear at least 18 bones break. The newbie fell to the ground beside Harvey, unconscious. Through his ruptured eyes, Harvey squinted at the damaged male before him. "You'd better hope your ass can take a baby oilless pounding, Weinstein. This guy is a fucking fiend," said John Cena, slamming the door behind him. Harvey got himself up, inspecting the back of the man's head. Could it really be him? "Puff," said Weinstein, tentatively. The man on the ground groaned, turning himself over to get a look at Harvey. "Harvey fucking Weinstein," he replied with a wry smile. "Puff Daddy, it is you," said Harvey, recognizing his best friend. "So this is where they've been keeping you, my Chad," Diddy replied, getting to his feet in spite of his injuries. "Indeed," said Harvey gravely. "It is horrible here. There's no McDonald's, no PlayStation 5s. There isn't even a fridge filled with Jack Daniels. I am so sorry, my dear friend, but now that I am here, things will change." Diddy reached inside his ass, pulling out a small capsule. Harvey glanced at the capsule, recognizing a familiar logo. "Is that from Capsule Corp?" "Indeed, brother. And inside is everything we need to get out of here." Diddy launched the capsule into the sky, which poofed in the air, materializing before them a magical, glowing basketball. Harvey Weinstein was pissed off. "And just how the fuck is a basketball going to get us out of here? You could have smuggled in some guns or a few turbo chads, but this?" Diddy smiled, spinning the basketball on his pinky. "My dear, sweet Harvey, This ball is more powerful than anything anyone in the entire Gizmoverse has ever seen." Then, Diddy laughed maniacally for 17 hours as Weinstein beheld the magical ball. What was this feeling in his heart? It was hope. The hope of a sick, evil fuck who was about to have his revenge on the world.
Meanwhile, in Donald's bedroom, the boys were all gathered: Donald, Obama, Joey, and Chandler. They were waiting patiently for Johnny Depp to arrive, as he'd promised he had something cool to show them. "What do you think it will be?" asked Donald, grabbing a fourth cheeseburger from within the massive bag on McDonald's, which Jeffrey had brought in specially. "Fuck knows," Biden replied as he snorted a massive line of coke from the back of a DVD case. It was, of course, the Lord of the Rings extended box set. "You've been hitting the cocaine like a madman, Joey," said Chandler, a hint of concern in his voice. "I guess being ousted from the presidency by your own party really did a number on you." "Fuck you, Chandler," Joe replied. "Can't an old man enjoy his retirement? Plus, in case you've forgotten, I have obtained the power of a Super Saiyan 30. I think I can handle a few fucking lines of coke." Obama listened to his best mates keenly as he continued his run on Vampire Survivors. He himself held some concerns for Joe's health and general attitude. Following his recent turn to cocaine, he'd become edgy and erratic, likely to tell his friends to fuck off at the slightest inconvenience. "I can't argue that the man is fucking goated, though," thought Obama to himself as he died in game. "I, for one, think it's a good thing that Joe has a hobby," said Donald, squirting whipped cream directly into his mouth as a Big Mac chaser. "I wouldn't mind a line," said Johnny as he poked his head through the bedroom door. "Johnny," said the boys in unison. Johnny was looking fucking snatched in a golden suit and his trademark shades. The boys cheered again, this time more wildly, when they saw that he was driving a forklift stacked with several crates of Jack Daniels. "I thought you might all be a little bit thirsty," said Johnny as he hopped off the forklift and began pouring megapints of Jack, tossing buds of crystal-coated weed into each humongous glass. "Shit, Johnny, you brought the goods today," ejaculated Donald as he extended his Dragon Ball Z straw across the room and directly into one of the chatted megapints. "Well, it's a special day. It would have been Henry Cavill's birthday if he hadn't had his head chopped off by Mel Gibson in the Mel Games." The boys all drank a toast to Henry before they remembered that Johnny was supposed to have something cool to show them. "What else are you hiding, John?" asked Obama, who was so fucking high he was hallucinating that everyone was a caterpie. "Oh, yes! Almost forgot," said Johnny, stripping off his golden suit so that he was fully naked. His ripped and chatted physique was in the best condition the boys had ever seen him in. Clearly, he had been training in the hyperbolic time chamber again for at least 10 trillion years, but his muscles and long dick weren't the main event. "Now that is fucking awesome," shouted Joe as he snorted a meter-long slug of cocaine from the back of his life-sized Gimli, son of Gloin statue. The awesome thing which Joe referred to was a new tattoo, all along Johnny's back, ass crack, and even the back part of his balls. "That's right, boys. I got the script for Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Tattooed on my back, the whole damn thing. Isn't it tight?" "That's really goddamn tight," said Donald, in whose head the mojo and conscience of the real Austin Powers had been living since he was 10 years old, when Charlie Chaplin had shot Austin in the head with a sniper rifle on Elvis Presley's island. "Tell Johnny that shit is fucking chatted," said Austin, in an intangible, ethereal voice which only Donald could hear. "Austin says it's chatted." "Dude," said Donald. "Awesome," said Johnny, feeling proud and randy. He had a full boner, which everyone could see. "Anybody fancy going back to back?" "Fuck yeah!" shouted Joe, who was also fully nude and fully stiff. Obama chuckled a bit. "Well, why not?" Then the boys put on some really dirty Dragon Ball hentai with Cell Max getting pegged by Wiz for 8 hours while they all got high as fuck and edged themselves while saying, "No homo," every hour, on the hour. When they had all finished, it took Joe forever as he'd taken so much cocaine, they all played some Mario Kart, Double Dash on Joe's original GameCube, and gradually all fell, blissfully, to sleep. Life was great. There hadn't been an intergalactic war in over 5 years, and as far as they knew it, there never would be.
Meanwhile, on Rikers Island, homicide detective Alan Rickman was looking at the corpse on the floor of Harvey Weinstein's cell. "That's an absolute shitload of blood," said Detective Alan Rickman to his partner, Inspector Gandalf. Gandalf licked the blood on the floor. "It's fresh as fuck," he said. "Yes," replied Detective Alan Rickman in a voice just like Snape's. "It looks like John Cena was murdered no more than 1 hour ago. And the murder was especially brutal. Just look at his ass wounds." Alan Rickman pointed at John Cena's exposed ass. It had clearly been gone at for several hours without any baby oil. Gandalf threw up after peering into the bloody chocolate starfish. "Get a hold of yourself, Inspector," said Alan Rickman, slapping Gandalf on the back 9 times. "Sorry, sir. It's just so horrible," replied Gandalf, crying. Alan Rickman inspected John Cena's body further, noticing very prominent wounds to his entire body. "Look here," he said to Gandalf. "See these?" "What could have caused those wounds?" asked Gandalf, horrified beyond all reason. "These prominent wounds could have been caused by only one thing: a basketball. I fear Harvey Weinstein and Diddy may have access to a truly chadded weapon, one which was believed by the police to be lost to history," said Rickman, as he also checked his Pokemon Go account to see if there were any chadded Pokemon to catch nearby. There weren't. Gandalf searched his incredibly chadded memory for any history or lore related to a basketball-related weapon, and after 7 hours of silent thought came up with one option. "You can't mean the sacred ball from Space Jam?" asked Gandalf, shitting his pants in terror. "Yes," replied Alan Rickman. "I fear it has been found and used." "Oh my fucking God," shouted Gandalf. Then Alan Rickman started jerking off right there in the cell with Gandalf and the corpse of the defiled John Cena right there. "Do you have to do that?" asked Gandalf, himself getting erect without really wanting to. "Of course," said Alan Rickman, edging himself right to the cusp of victory. "It is through being completely or very nearly edged to the max that I gain my best detective powers. Now shut the fuck up and let me work here, prick." Just then, a random nameless policeman entered the cell. "Excuse me, sir," she said pathetically. "What is it?" screamed Alan Rickman, whose furious edging brought him close to becoming clairvoyant. But that was now ruined. "Begging your pardon, sir, but you might want to turn on the news. Some giga-chatted shit is unfolding, live and on air, and you'd better see it," said the feeble police officer. "You'd better be fucking right," said Alan Rickman furiously. "I almost saw directly into the history of John Cena's asshole before you interrupted." Rickman grabbed the television remote out of John Cena's cock, where it had been lodged in a heinous act of sexual brutality, and pressed the on button. Immediately, the news station Gizmo News came up on the screen, and a very sexy babe in a suit started chatting some shit about the news. "Hey, babes. It is me, Sexmerelda Defornio, and I'm here to tell you that the world is once again in danger from a Gizmo Lord," said the news anchor, sexily. "My God, she's hot!" shouted Inspector Gandalf as he huffed on a humongous bong. "Shut the fuck up!" shouted Detective Alan Rickman, who had started gooning heavily at the buxom, heavily breasted television host. The host, Sexmerelda Defornio, continued saying, "That's right. It looks like Harvey Weinstein and P. Diddy have used some kind of tetra-chatted magic to erect a magical basketball arena right in the middle of Washington, D.C., and have slathered the perimeter of the city in what appears to be Johnson's baby oil for about 500 miles in every direction. Trust me when I say you don't want to be driving around there, as it's fucking slippery. But if you love getting fucked in the ass by a couple of perverts, it might just be the best place in the world to go. This is Sexmerelda Defornio signing out. Stay. Chat. The television turned off, as if Sexmerelda Defornio actually controlled all televisions in the world, and Rickman and Gandalf were left in the cell, hard as iron, as they contemplated what they had just seen. Rickman took a huge rip on a government-grade bong. Then he said, if that sexy bitch was correct, then Weinstein and Diddy have set up a Space Jam-style challenge in the Capitol, keeping the Army and other strong Chads at bay, with a force field of baby oil. It's so dastardly of them. What the fuck are they up to? Screamed Gandalf, as he shot himself up with a heavy dose of heroin. I don't rightly know, replied Alan Rickman, taking Gandalf's needle, sucking the end to keep it clean, before shooting it directly into his own sweet anus. But if I am right in my hunch, they are planning to take revenge on the world that took them down, using the basketball power-stealing strategy once employed by the Monstars in Space Jam. Chatted film, yelled Gandalf as he came into his hat. You fucking know it, big boy, shouted Detective Rickman, who was so high he had shat on the floor and was using Gandalf's beard as toilet paper. Gentlemen, shouted Chief Inspector Rowan Atkinson, who had just walked in. I am appalled, he shouted as Rickman and Gandalf rolled around on John Cena's corpse, covered in shit and cum. They looked up at their chief, who was absolutely goated due to being Mr. Bean, but also due to having a small part in Hot Shots. We're sorry, sir, shouted Detective Rickman, still gooning hard at the thought of the television presenter, but slightly ashamed to have been caught on the job. Chief Inspector Rowan Atkinson watched his best investigators high as fuck on heroin and covered in shit piss, cum and blood with disgust. When were you boys gonna invite me? He asked, suddenly, pulling out a massive bag of heroin and 7 bottles of Jack Daniels. They partied long into the night, and in between lines of coke off John Cena's dead anus, discussed what was to be done about the Space Jam situation. Maybe we just call the president, said Gandalf after 2 days of anal pleasure. Good fucking plan, dude, wailed Rowan Atkinson as he delved back into the depths of sweet, sweet heroin-induced anal pleasure. A plan was set. 4 days later, they called President Trump.
This is totally fucked, shouted Joe. Calm down, Joey, said Johnny. I can't fucking calm down, big boy. I've run out of cocaine, so I'm pissed beyond belief. Then why don't you just instant transmission yourself to your dealer and take as much as you want? Asked Johnny helpfully. Good point, said Joe, realizing he was a Super Saiyan 9000 and could essentially do whatever he wanted. Yes, said Obama, or better yet, just use your magic powers of creation granted by completing Mario Kart Double Dash 7 million times to make as much coke as you want. It was a chatted idea, and Joe agreed to do that and stop pissing everyone off by being a fucking asshole. Just then, Trump's phone rang. The ringtone was chatted. It was Rock the Dragon, a chatted tune. Where's Trump? Asked Johnny from under the sheets in Joe's bunk bed where he was jerking his hog like there was no tomorrow. He's in the shower, replied Obama, who was also beating his meat under the covers while looking at some Rule 34 on his phone. Fuck it, shouted Joe, throwing Trump's phone against the wall. Hey, why you do that to Trump's phone, Joe? Asked Chandler, who was cranking his snake beneath the sheets to a previously undiscovered type of porno, the mystical Rule 35. Shut the fuck up, Channy baby, replied Joe. He really was a coked-up asshole. Suddenly, Joey's bedroom door swung open and in strode Donald Trump, fresh out of the shower. His dick was swinging like a tire swing dangling from a neighborhood tree, and his luscious golden hair looked especially enchanting. It all perfectly timed up with the hog stranglers in Joey's bed, and they all found themselves having to whisper "no homo" as they finished themselves off to Donald's beautiful masculine body. Did you have to come in right then? Asked Obama with shame. I had a really good video of Jinx doing it with Hitmonchan. Sorry, Mr. Fabulous, replied Trump, making no move whatsoever to get dressed. His dick knocked the GameCube off Joey's bedside table. Oops, sorry, Joe. Joe Biden looked proper pissed off. Watch your fucking dick, big balls. You know I treasure my GameCube almost as much as I love my Gimli statue. My apologies, Joseph, but I can't help that God gave me a huge swinging dick. Trump walked around the room searching for some Jack Daniels as the other boys wiped their dicks with socks. Whose sock belonged to who? Nobody knew, and it didn't matter. They were all best friends. Hey, boys, shouted Trump. Has anyone seen my phone? Yes, said Johnny. Joe threw it at the wall. What the fuck, Joe? Screamed Trump. It was pissing me off, said Joe. Great. And what if there was a world-ending catastrophe taking place in Washington right now? How would we know? I'm the only one with a working phone, said Trump. It was true. All the other boys had lost their phones when they went swimming at the lake 3 days earlier. We'll hear about it on the news, said Joe, taking the biggest snort of cocaine anyone has ever taken through his butt. We never watch the news, said Trump, his cock still swinging like a tetherball on a rope. We are always using our CRT television for Smash Bros. Melee or Double Dash. How are we going to know if there's a problem? Good point, Donnie, said Obama. Let's go buy some phones. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., Harvey Weinstein and Puff Daddy were smoking huge cones in their basketball arena. Diddy had turned all the hottest babes in the city into their personal slaves using his mind control powers, and they were all bringing him bottles of baby oil to drink. Diddy needs 10,000 drinks of baby oil per hour to stay at his maximum strength, although at this moment he only needed 2 or 3 per minute, as he wasn't fighting. I hope you like this baby oil, said one of Diddy's mind-controlled victims. And if you like, I can bring you some Jack Daniels. Silence, shouted Diddy. He took the bottle of baby oil. He sniffed it, swirled it around in his mega-pint glass. God, that smells terrific, he said. Then he opened his belly button and poured it directly into his stomach. That's weird, said Harvey Weinstein. He had no idea that Diddy drank his baby oil like that, but he did. And that was just the way it was, like bug type being strong to psychic type in Generation 1. Shut up, Harvey, can't you see? We're ready now. This arena will be our stage. Here we shall deliver our vengeance to the whole world. The pricks and ass lickers who fucked us over. The magical Space Jam basketball flew out of Diddy's ass and swirled around the arena like a fairy. What can the ball do exactly? Asked Harvey as he took a massive bite of his Burger King meal. Shut up, said Diddy. Watch this shit. Diddy did some cool hand gestures like a Power Ranger powering up, and it seemed to send instructions to the ball. It stopped midair, like a golden snitch from Harry Potter, but way cooler, and started whirring and buzzing. It's emanating a fucking massive power level, shouted Harvey. Like Jiren from Dragon Ball Super, but 500 quintillion, yeah, baby-illion times more. Diddy smiled. That's right, bestie. This fucking Powerball is going to make us a powerful basketball team with the strongest gizmo gods you've ever seen. Even more powerful than Mel Gibson times like infinity, yeah, baby-illion gazillion. Holy fuck, shouted Weinstein. The ball spun so fast it created a small black hole around it. Diddy walked up to it, which was impressive as he was only really about as strong as King Cold, and shoved his hand into the black hole. Be careful, Puff, shouted Harvey. Shut up, shouted Diddy. His hand got stretched like Peter in Jumanji, you know, when he gets sucked into the game, and then he pulled out something, or someone. There was a massive explosion, but everyone was fine. What was that? Asked Harvey. Then he saw it. Standing next to Diddy was a massive, tall dude, possibly a gizmo lord, wearing a basketball outfit that said Puffy's Rangers on it. Is that who I think it is? Asked Harvey to himself. Hell yeah, it is, said Diddy. And he's going to help us destroy the world through basketball. Welcome, Andrew Tate. Oh, hello there, Diddy Meister, said Tate. I was trapped in that black hole for like 50 billion years, wondering when you was going to come and save me in it. Good to see you, you golden Chad, said Diddy. Are you ready to fuck the world up? Yes, shouted Andrew Tate. He shoved his hand down the front of his basketball shorts, gave his taint a good touch, then pulled the hand back right up to his nose and gave it a huge fucking sniff. That's fucking nasty, he said to himself, smiling. Gross, said Harvey. You shut your mouth, Weinstein, said Tate. I can already tell you're the weakest loser on this team. When I sniff me old taint, it gives me a little boost akin to a tiny Zenkai boost, so unless you want a flaccid and useless cunt to play basketball, you won't mind my big old sniffs. Not one bit. We won't get in your way, said Diddy, punching Weinstein in the nuts as a punishment. Good, said Tate, because I've been living on a basketball planet for a long-ass time, and I'm fucking good at dribbling now. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, said Diddy, shoving 10 liters of baby oil directly into his belly button. Tate had another fucking massive whiff of his taint smell. It was stinky like old ham in a lunchbox. Weinstein looked a little disturbed by it, but kept his mouth shut. Now we get the others, said Diddy. Who the fuck can match up to me in basketball? Asked Andrew Tate, sniffing his butt hairs. Just wait and see, LOL, said Diddy.
Part 2 coming soon.